Welcome to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. On with me today is Danielle Cherewyk. Hi, Danielle.
Hey, Kayla, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm really excited today. We're gonna be talking about like retail and expansion. Danielle has a killer salon. So let's start with you, Danielle. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am just, a salon owner, a second generation stylist, a mom of two boys, and I love to travel. So those are kind of the highlight reel.
I love that. So you say you're second generation stylist. Does that mean like your mom was, or is that tell me about that?
Yeah, my mom is a hairstylist and she was a salon owner as well. She
Wow.
didn't love being a salon owner as much as I do, that's for sure. And she is now a stylist in my salon, kind of semi-retired. So part-time babysitter for me, part-time stylist, our old school perm expert.
Oh, I love that. Oh, does perms? That's so funny. I feel like you can't find many salons that do perms these days, so that's really cool. Do you and your mom get along? Like, is it a good relationship? Do you like having her in there?
Well, that would take a full podcast, but we are really great now. For
Good.
sure, working with your mom came with its challenges. It's funny, she owned a restaurant when I was in high school, and I worked for her. And then now, when I opened a salon, she ended up relocating to where I live and she started working for me. So it's definitely, we've had a lot of dynamics in our relationship. And I would say that our relationship is very solid um,
Aw,
and has worked through a lot of things.
that's good. Yeah, I can imagine with any relationship between parents and children, probably even you as a mom, I have a little boy too, and just there's ups and downs, and there's times when you're like, whew, this is hard, and there's times like, oh, I love you so much. So I totally get that. So that's really cool. So I don't know, you might have already said this. How long have you owned your salon?
We just had our 10th year anniversary at our current location, but we were a small business in a smaller space for 3 years before that. And
Wow.
we kind of outgrew that. And when we moved into our bigger space, we rebranded. So salon owner for 13 years. My current business is 10 years now.
Wow, it's crazy. I just celebrated my 10-year high school graduation. So you opened your salon when I graduated high school.
You know,
That's really cool.
I was only 21 when I opened my salon, so I'm actually not too far off. I'm only level
Yeah.
35. So I was a very young salon owner.
Wow, that's really cool. I don't know if you like, I guess you see, work in the salon industry or with salon owners, you see all sorts of different dynamics, different places. But that's really cool. 21 and open your own salon. Well, you had your mom who owned a salon, so you probably had a good example from that, or at least a place to start. So tell me about like, how many chairs do you have? How many stylists do you have? Do you run, you have like multiple services? Do you just do hair?
Um, okay, so we are three locations and we just bought a school as well, which is a separate business. So three salon locations, one school. Between them all, there's about 46 of us. So I think that's around 38 stylists and then support team. Um,
Wow.
and we are full, we do all hair services. We also do bridal, so a little bit of makeup, a little bit of brows, but we are primarily hair, all hair. We have a big
Wow.
enough team that we really encourage them to specialize. So we like you like perms. It's not so average, but we do have a few uh, who do perms. Lots of blonding and
That's Yeah, that's so cool. So tell me what inspired you to become a salon owner? I know you said that your mom was a salon owner, but like when did you know you wanted to own a salon?
you know that's I think I went into hair school wanting to be a salon owner. Like I loved that. I love business and systems and all of that. I already shared my family had a restaurant when I was in high school, and I was like, can I do the schedule? Like, can I just do it? Like I liked the organization that. I liked the inventory. I hate inventory now, but I liked inventory then. So I always loved those kinds of things. And then being in the industry, like I grew up in the industry, and my mom's like a hardcore hairstylist. Like it is her passion through and through for sure. So I definitely had a great example there. Um, but what made me take action was I was actually a manager at a salon and I was demoted, um, which is kind of a long story. But essentially, what happened was they didn't have a manager, and I was very young. I was like 20, and I told them like, I love it. Why don't you let me do that? And they didn't really have another choice. So they gave me the position. However, a salon had closed down and they were hiring on their team, and the manager there had a lot more experience. They wanted to give her the position. And so they asked for me to kind of move over, and I wasn't really sure because, like I said, I really loved that position. So it kind of put me at a roadblock. They ended up retracting and saying they would love to keep me on. But by that time, I had actually connected with a salon owner who wanted to exit her business. And so I bought that, and that's kind of how the story started.
That's so crazy. It's crazy how situations come up and then you meet a salon owner who wanted to and just like the stars align, and then you've owned a salon for 13 years and or the business for the 13 years. That's so crazy. So let's dive into some of the business, because you have, I know a lot of your story and the things that you've been successful at. So tell me about one of like the most effective like strategies in your business that have like specifically for like retail, because we're going to be talking a lot about like retail and expansion today. So tell me about like what strategies that you've had in regards to retail have been the most effective for your salon.
Ooh, it's such a good question. Like, what is the real ninja moves? I think there's a few. One, when I became a salon owner, I was also an educator for a company. So I had a very education approach to selling. Of course, when you're educating for a brand, the ultimate goal is to move boxes, move boxes, move boxes. So it's very educational based selling. And I really adapted that into my business. Like, that is through a culture through and through. And so I think that that's a really great one. But also, my mom had been a part of a franchise salon that did a lot of retail, and she really talked a lot to me about the success of having a lot of retail on the shelf. Like, if there's not retail on the shelf, you can't sell anything. And so we do keep a big inventory.
Wow.
That's dangerous. So I say that with caution, because you need to manage that inventory very well. You wouldn't just say to everybody, like, stack them high and watch them buy. It's not that simple, but ultimately we do have a big inventory as well.
Wow, that's crazy. So what's your RTS? What's your retail to service percentage?
44% is
44%. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really high. I mean, we like usually average, like I see a lot lower, but that's really good. So that's awesome. So it's cool. So I love how you said like, yeah, this is what we do, but it's also caution, because there's like, you have to have a skill set to be able to do this. So like, yeah, this is, and for those listening, if you guys are like wanting some retail tips, like this is like, yeah, this is how we do them, but there's also structure to how you put this in place and how you apply this to your salon. So don't just like, oh, sweet, I'm going to buy 100 boxes of this thing because she said to do that. Just make sure that you're being strategic with that. So that's really cool. So so that was a number one thing. So since you started your salon, have you always had really good retail? Have you always sold really good retail?
Yeah. I mean, when I started my salon, it was me and one other one. And so being an educator, like, my RTS was really high. Mm-hmm. And then I adopted like training internally. Like, I always hired apprentices and I trained them. So they were shadowing me. So their retail was really high. And it was kind of something that it just happened automatically. And then
a ripple effect.
Yeah. And then actually so our RTS was always around 25%, which we were like, yeah, like that's awesome. And then I remember seeing a video that Jason shared with another member, Lindsay Haney, and she was like, our RTS is 40%. And I was like, what? That's possible? Like, and so I showed it to my team. I'm like, 40%. And they're like, we can do it. Cause it's like, so we did. It was just like, when you see that something's possible, you can achieve it. And like 44% is our average across all the stylists. Like, I have stylists who are selling at 80%, and they're not doing services either. They're like, their numbers are in double digits for sure.
Wow, that's crazy. So, because you mentioned before, like, so you have apprentices, so they come in, they shadow before they get started. So, like, what kind of education do you do to like a new stylist kind of come in? What's your protocol for education to make sure everybody kind of gets up to speed?
Yeah, we really took that experience that we had with seeing what was possible and ingrained that. So in our first day of training, one of the videos that we share is called, we call it the Headroom Best Evers. And we actually share video clips from all of our team who are like the best in a category. So like team members who, and like of all, my mom's on there because she's been doing hair behind the chair for 40 years. Like that, um, it's a laborious job. So it's just a feat. And she talks about like, having good shoes and, like taking care of your body and different things like that, all the way to, of course, some of our top retailers share a couple of their strategies. So it's about a 10 to 12 minute video. So they come in with like, this is what's available to you. It's very
Wow.
possible. Here's people who are doing it. And then we really dive into retail education with them in the first little bit. And something that we preach a lot is like, we never want you to sell ice to an Eskimo. We only want you to sell an umbrella in a rainstorm. We only want for you to inform your clients about products that can make their life easier, that can make them feel better, that can help them meet their hair goals and
Yeah.
hair goals that they define, not that we define. And
Yeah.
so I think that they just feel really good about providing that service to their clients, and it just happens very naturally.
I love that. I love how you said like you give them like here's what's possible for you and then here's how to get there. And like I love that you like take from real people's experiences, because I know it's like even from my life, like when I see like, oh, that person can do that, oh, then I can do it too. Like even something like jumping off of a really high bridge, like if I can see somebody survive doing that, I can do it too. And so like even down to like just seeing what's possible. I love that you guys have adopted that philosophy, and then you also have involved like the stylists who are doing well and how show the people coming in like, yeah, this is what's possible for you, and then we're going to help you get there. I love that. That's really cool. So when you're a stylist, like how often do you have like trainings around selling retail? Like how do you keep them up to date, or is it kind of like train when you come in? Like how do you keep up with it?
We're Forest, born on the salon floor and built for and by hair and beauty professionals like you. Forest is your marketing, your reporting, your reputation management. You need one easy-to-use system that does it all. Forest, together we grow.
Well, the brands help a lot. Like most
Yeah.
brands offer education, and certainly during COVID, it really changed. Like we used to do product knowledge classes and bring in the reps and do these classes, and
Mm.
now we keep it a lot more specific to their needs. And we have a lot of just digital education that they can access at any time. So we encourage our new level stylists to be taking a lot of that all the time. We have an education requirement for each of their levels. So they would get credits for any kind of education like that they take. So it's kind of just like a part of our culture in that way. And then when we have somebody slip down below like 20 to 30%, we start putting them like, how can we support them? So we'll put them on our performance improvement plan, which is not a write up. It is a support system. So what support can we put in place? What measurements can we put in place to make sure that they're getting what they need? That might look like a mentor shadowing them to listen to their scripts and make some tweaks about different things. It might get them to just try or role play some strategy. So we kind of use it on a case by case basis when we're slipping. It's a metric that we measure all the time. Like retail is we measure it in dollar amount, in RTS, and in bottle count per guest. So
Wow.
it's a big part of our KPIs in the salon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a priority for you. I love how like I hear so much of what you're saying, how you guys support the team members, and how you like train them. Like it's not just about like making the money and getting the, like you're not trying to like make my salon money. It's like, hey, let's serve our clients, and in serving our clients and in having that kind of culture, the RTS is going to skyrocket, which is really cool. So having that mindset is awesome. I love that. That's awesome. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Well, like I just will add, retail just makes up such a big part of so much more. Like we know that their retention is going to be affected by retail because clients are buying retail when they're being properly educated. They're being properly educated when they're being properly cared for. And so we use it as a metric to do that. Like I said, we measure it in 3 different ways. We usually coach to RTS and bottle count, not sales, because like you said, like it's not just about making our salon money. It's not always about the money. It's a good metric, but we really don't want it to be just about the money. It's really about the serve. So anyways,
No, I love that about the serve and not, and even like explain like how you do that. So what kind of challenges do you run in your salon? Do you just educate well, or do you run challenges? Like, how do you keep people all motivated to keep going?
Are you still guessing what your color services are actually costing you? Guessing the cost of your services is eating into your profits. With Salon Scale, you can separate your parts from your labor and charge for every drop of color used. Stop letting your back bar drain your earnings. Click the link in the description to get 10% off of your first year or start your free trial today. Salon Scale. Profit starts with every mix.
Oh, we don't do a ton of retail competitions or different things like that. It really is about the serve and the education, but we do like to have fun and culture, and like my team is pretty competitive. If you didn't get that from the 40% at the beginning, like we can crush that. However, we like to keep it like friendly. You don't want the competition to get beyond. And then as your team grows, like you have people that are like, there's like people who play a game that are like, oh, I'm going to win everything. And like, it can make other people be like, I'm not playing. I'm not playing with you. So we had to be careful because we don't want somebody to all of a sudden be like, I'm not playing. I'm not selling. I'm not going there with you.
Intimidated.
For me. So we try and keep our competitions pretty friendly. Lots of times it's about within their own growth. Right now every year we call it the Headroom Games, and it's team competitions. It's a team competition. So we team up members of different locations, and it really is culture. So they'll have a common goal. Oftentimes there's retail or treatments or different things. It depends on what we want to grow or bring awareness to in our company. And they always win like a team experience. So like our team loves like a spray tan party or like a dinner out or a brunch or a picnic or I don't know, like axe throwing. They can kind of pick an experience to go and do with their team.
Wow.
And so right now we're doing a Harry Potter themed one. So that's really fun. And we built that with ChatGPT, which was really cool. And so,
That's amazing.
a little bit of stuff. We have done the high performance 30-day retail challenge. We had somebody, one of our service providers, I think had over 100% RTS. She sold like $9,000 of retail. So, it's pretty awesome.
Wow, yeah, when you take somebody who's already killing it in retail and just give them something like that kind of motivation, that's amazing. Man, I'm kind of getting that we could talk about retail for the rest of this podcast. So we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we might continue talking about more retail because it was very fascinating. I really feel like like if you're listening in, I hope you hear the culture that Danielle has in her salon and how that has played such a huge contributing factor to the retail of being 44% RTS, which is wild. So we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we will continue the conversation talking about retail, and maybe we'll get to some expansion later on down the road.
Ready to transform your business and improve your salon's profitability? With Lonza's 3-in-1 technology and intermixable shades, your hair color inventory is streamlined with limitless creativity behind the chair. Click the link below to unveil the secret to salon success.
Welcome back to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Again, I have Danielle Cherewyk on with me. We've been talking about her salon and how she's crushing it with a 44% RTS. That's her average that she's been having, and just how some strategies that she's had and the culture that she brings to her salon to be able to achieve that number. And so now I want to talk with you, Danielle, about your expansion. You talked about 3 different salons that you have and you just opened a school or started a school. So that's really exciting. So tell me about what was it like opening, like when you had your first salon. Let's go back to your first open. Tell me about what it was like when you knew it was time to open a second salon.
Oh gosh. How did we know? One of the biggest things that we found is that where we were at, we were starting to hit 80% capacity. And we found every time we would get to 80% capacity, we would dip back down. And we were like, what's going on here? What's happening? And then, to get to 80% capacity, we would have to spend some money, and then it would dip back down. So it was really hurting our bottom line. And so ultimately we were like, what's going on? Like, what are the pain points here? Why is this happening? And so after analyzing that, we really found that as we grow, as we were becoming a bigger team, and I think at that point we were around we kind of would hover between like 13 to 15 stylists plus some support staff. So around 18 people. We really made sure that our leadership was good. But ultimately, like they were getting squishy. We couldn't offer like as much flexibility around schedules, which we know right now is a super important thing in our industry, especially in the commission salon. And so that was hard. But then also we were at a level where we had set a standard with our guests of the experience that we wanted to provide, and it comes with a price. Having
Wow.
you know the high end amenities and different things like that, and just like anytime we would spend on those amenities or on those upgrades, and then our stylists wouldn't have the flexibility, and we'd get some overturn, and it was hurting us. So we decided like we either need to scale it back and go more boutique, or we need to grow it to create opportunity for people to have flexibility or the next level of their career path. And so we kind of talked to our team, like, is anybody interested in opportunity and growing more in leadership and doing that kind of stuff? Because I wasn't going to do it all by myself. And there was a lot of interest there. And so I think that as a salon owner, it's our job to create jobs and to provide opportunity for our team. And so that like, we're like, all right, we're doing it. And, you know,
Wow.
and then all hell broke loose. So
Love that.
next round of problems, but it was good. That was what led us there.
That's crazy. But then with that, like, yeah, it might have been really hard and taken a lot of process. But look at you now, the 3 locations. So it was worth it for sure. How long was that process when you guys started opening your new, like when you decided to open a new one? How long was that process?
Are you ready to increase your retention and revenue and convert website traffic to clients? Then you're ready for Maya. Maya creates better business relationships by pairing the right clients with the right beauty professionals. Use promo code HPSA for your first 2 months free. Visit joinmaya.com to get started.
Oh, I want to say, you know, I think that I always wanted to grow my business. Like that was, you know, always in the back of my mind. Like I thought big right from, you know, applying for hair school. And so I don't know where the thought originally started, but where we started taking action to like actually opening the doors, it probably was about 18 months. The first 6 months kind of looked more like, what does our current situation look like? Do we want to stay in our lease here? We're in a leased space. Do we want to just expand because our neighboring space was available? So do we want to just expand and have one bigger location, or do we want to have 2? And so ultimately per square foot, having 1 or 2 was pretty similar. We can still share a lot of subscriptions. Like we have one phone bill, we have one, you know, all of those things. And then as far as utilities, it really, if we were expanding, they would have gone up. In a new location, they went up. And so we really figured like our expenses to open a second location is not going to make, or to expand are going to be the same. But if we go into a different area, it expands our demographic. Whereas if we expand where we are currently, now keep in mind, if we were one space, that might be like 1 sales desk person on. So there for sure is savings, but we just thought that the gain was bigger with the 2 spots.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. It's a lot to decide and figure out. And I'm glad. So you're saying that before you guys even kind of decided, you spent a lot of time making sure you're making the right decision for what was going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So, and even the out of box, like thinking ahead, sounds like that's something that you are really good at, thinking ahead of, okay, what is my possible outcome? Like what's like in the podcast episode before we were talking about making decisions on how like outcome based decisions, and sounds like you guys had, okay, what's my outcome that I want, and then make a decision for that. So tell me a little bit about the expansion process and what was like as you worked through it, and now that you're 3 locations in a school, like what are some, like looking back, what are some things that you wish that you would kind of known or would have maybe been easier? What did you learn through the process of expanding?
You know, I think like it's easy to hindsight and like look at the intention or pull out the intention and see some of those things. But I think that sometimes we want to move really fast versus intentional. And something that I have to do a lot is like, is this ego or is this actually smart? Like what's driving this move? And so I think that for advice, like it would just always take the time to reflect, ask questions, find professionals, do the research. Don't be, for me, fear of looking stupid. Like I don't want to ask, you know, I don't want to call an accountant and ask that. I don't want them to think that I don't know that about my business or things like that. I think that now it's kind of like, I think this will be more relatable for stylists if I say like, when you're first starting out as an apprentice, you're like afraid to make mistakes or afraid for somebody to think that you don't know what you're doing. And it makes you kind of worse at it. And then when you're like a more seasoned stylist, you're like quite confident to be like, I'm not good at that. Or like, that's not my specialty, because you've built up like an earn the right or a, like the, confidence in another area to be able to say that. And so I would say as a younger stylist, that was true as well. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
not being afraid to ask questions. And then like making sure that anything that you do is really scalable as you implement any other systems into your company.
Yeah, that's huge. I love that you said that, like systems that are scalable. So like, yeah, is this going to, it's serving a purpose right now, but is it going to be able to evolve and turn into something bigger? That's really crazy. So when you started your third location, what was that one about? Like when you were ready for your third, was it just you needed more? Tell me about that.
The third one kind of just knocked on our door, actually. We had in a community. So our third location's about 2 hours away from us. And we had a past employee who lived in that area who was working with somebody, and they asked if she'd be interested in opening a salon in their building. So our landlord has a lash spa business on one side of the building, and it's a hair salon on the other. So this is the building that she bought. And she was like, oh yeah, I'll just like manage the salon side of it. Like salon and spa is the same thing. And then she's like, this is not the same thing. So stylists are different beasts than estheticians as massage therapists, which we've dropped an aesthetics department in my salon ownership. So I totally appreciate that. And she was looking for somebody who would hold her brand, hold her standard, but could grow that side of the business. And so they're two different spaces, but within the same building.
Yeah.
So, she had offered it to our past employee, and she wasn't interested, but she connected us. And so that's where that came from.
Oh, that's so cool. So is it like a different, so it's you're like partnering with it, but it's like a kind of a different setup than the two salons you currently have?
Yeah, it's definitely smaller. It's more of a boutique spot. And so it's a really great way for us. And like, again, just being really intentional. We are in a pretty small community. We're about 80,000 with 2 locations already. So the thought of having a third location here is not really something that we're interested in right now. I can't say for the future, but it would be a very far future. And so the opportunity for us that was really attractive was our systems scale for 2 locations in the same city. Do they scale where they could be in a different city? Like, what opportunity can we provide? And so those were kind of some of the things that we looked at. And then this is like my secret, very easy ninja move is what happened was we looked at that community and a Starbucks just opened up. And so I was like, yes, because I know, and not just because I love Starbucks. I'm actually not a huge Starbucks drinker because for a lot of reasons. But what I know is that Starbucks has a similar demographic to me, and they have the means to do the market research. So I know if they just opened up in that community, they see potential for growth, and that community is growing. And so it was a very easy yes for me, just knowing that they had already done the work for me. And my other locations one is in what I would call a Starbucks strip mall. Like we have a Starbucks at the end. And somebody taught me to put in your lease that if Starbucks moves, you can leave your lease. Because if Starbucks is moving out, it probably means that location is now a dud. And so we've used the Starbucks principle within our company before.
Oh.
That was kind of the sign that was like,
that is so, like, what a crazy thing. When you tell me that, I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. I never would have thought of that. That is like, I love, and this whole time that we've been talking, there's a lot of where you just like, again, think outside the box, like make decisions based off of like future, which is a really cool business. And when you're like, now you're opening the school. So I'm really excited. Hopefully we'll have you on in the future to talk about that. But we're kind of running out of time today. So it's been really fun to talk to you, but I want to ask one last question. What is your favorite thing about being a salon owner?
Oh, like I love being a salon owner. It just like lights up my life. One thing is definitely my team, like hands down, having a team, growing my team, seeing their wins, and like creating a space that gives people the opportunity to grow and be their own and have an amazing lifestyle is for sure my favorite thing.
You love the people. You love growing the people.
Yeah.
That's huge. And I think that as a salon owner, it's like that's such a huge part of it for being able to, because you're taking care of people, especially people getting out of beauty school. They're young, you're their first job, you have such a huge influence on them. You get to like, even you having the mindset of like empowering them, like this is what's possible for you, what you can do, and having them make good money and do it well. And like there's such a stigma I know in the salon industry of like stylists can't make money, and I know that we are huge into squashing that concept. So I love that. Danielle, this has been really fun. I've loved getting to know you and your salon, and we definitely have you on in the future. So if you're listening, I would love if you are watching with us. I'd love for you to drop what you've learned and what your biggest takeaway is from all the things that Danielle has shared. And if you're listening, I hope you're having a great car ride or whatever you're doing. And we will see you next time on the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Thank you, Danielle. See you next time.
You've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review, and check us out at ProfitableSalon.com for more episodes, content, and to help you turn your salon into the business you've always dreamt of.